You are set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much, James. I want to welcome everybody to the Town Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Monday, November 23rd. And if you could, we're going to do Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Noreen, if you could do the roll call, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Chairman Payne.
Here.
Commissioner Claffey. Commissioner Fox.
Here.
Commissioner Havens.
Here.
Commissioner Linares.
Here.
Commissioner Sobieski.
Yeah.
Commissioner Woods. Commissioner Braverman.
Here.
Commissioner Gill. Commissioner Haggerty.
Okay, thank you, Noreen. And so we have, we're going to put Commissioner Braverman on for Commissioner Woods. And I want to thank everybody for being on tonight. And I want to introduce you to our new town planner, Renata. Maybe she would come on here and maybe tell us a little bit about herself. And I got to say, she's catching on real fast, and I'm really looking forward for us to be working with her.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my name is Renata Bertati. I am first and foremost Newington resident, which I think one of the things with working in this capacity as a planner for the community that you live in is probably like a dream come true. It really brings it to like yet another level. I have worked in planning profession for about 15 plus years, and I worked my way up. I started as a zoning officer in town of College.
I'll get the dinner ready.
And from there, I went.
I would hold on 1 minute, Renata. Would everybody please mute themselves? I'd appreciate it. Go ahead, Renata. Thank you.
So from there, I went and worked as assistant town planner in town of Windsor. I worked for about 11 years for town of Manchester as a senior planner. And just recently, actually, I came to Newington from working as a director of development and enforcement division in Meriden. And that included overseeing our housing department, planning department, and building department. So professionally, I have quite variety of skill, and I hope to use it here. Like I said, I live in Newington. I live in wonderful, wonderful neighborhood, and like very much the neighbors that I do know, and I'm looking forward to working and getting acquainted with those neighbors in Newington that I still haven't met. The ones perhaps that don't live on my street.
Thank you very much, Renata. Okay, so at the next thing, we're here on the approval of the agenda. Renata, is there any changes at all?
Yes, so I will ask that the item listed under new business, under B, pre-application discussion regarding adding 2 new buildings at 3105 Berlin Turnpike for giant fabric site be changed into just general or generic pre-application discussion regarding the process of pre-application.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and I don't have any problem with that. And I would turn to the commissioners and ask them if they have any objections to that change in the agenda. Please raise your hand if you have something to say, and I will recognize you. Hearing nothing, I'm going to assume everybody's in approval of that. And we'll go into public participation.
Were you going to do a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Okay.
thank you, James.
You're welcome.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda from last meeting.
Motion made by Garrett Havens. Do I have a second?
Second, Fox.
Commissioner Fox seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries to approve the agenda. We're at public participation and we have Rose Lyons. Go ahead if you would like.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I just wanted to welcome the new planner. I'm happy for Mr. Minor that he's retired, and I'm happy to have a woman at the helm of our town planning and zoning. And the bonus to it is she's also a town resident. That's wonderful. And in case I don't make it through the entire meeting because it's not being televised, I just want to wish you all a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Just be safe and hope to see you in another couple of weeks. Take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rose. And James, we have another number there. Somebody else on the line, ending in, hello.
Individual with the last three digits of 435. There we go.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Yes.
Hi, my name's Bert Harris. I live at 225 Maple Hill. I just wanted to call in opposition to the Conservation Commission's amendment to the wetland regulations. They're proposing that essentially what equates to seasonal puddles that exist for a couple months out of the year are going to have a 400-foot diameter regulatory zone around them. And if you think about it, that's 3 acres of land that are going to be newly regulated areas. I really don't think they thought through the needs of the residents of Newington when they thought of this. I think they looked at it from a conservation standpoint, but to newly regulate that much land is going to adversely affect a lot of people. And as a town lawyer already stated, there may be possible constitutional issues with this as well. Anytime there's a regulatory taking by the government, there's due compensation needed. So the town's going to need to really think about that if they move forward with these amendments. And that's it.
I appreciate your comments. And could you just repeat your name and address for the record?
Yes, Bert Harris, 225 Maple Hill.
Thank you very much. And later on, we will have an update on that if you want to stick on board here. There will be an update on that. It's on the agenda. Thank you very much for your comments. Anybody else from the public would like to have a comment? Okay. Any remarks from the commissioners? Okay, we're going to go into our first public hearing. And before we go into the public hearing, I would ask that Commissioner Havens, if you could please read the procedures for a public hearing.
Certainly. Procedures for public hearings. Order of proceedings at public hearings shall be as follows. A, convening by chairman. B, reading of the notice by the commission secretary or a commissioner designated by the chairman to act in his stead. C, identification and location of the property involved by the town planner. D, a statement of the issue to be considered by the chairman or the town planner. E, presentation by applicant limited to 20 minutes unless a specific extension is granted by the chair. F, Persons wishing to speak in favor of the application, limited to 2 minutes per person. G, persons wishing to speak in opposition to the application, limited to 3 minutes per person. H, rebuttal by the applicant, limited to 5 minutes total. I, rebuttal by the opposition, limited to 5 minutes total. During a public hearing, it shall be within the discretion of the chairman whether the time limitation should be varied slightly, provided the commission consents to any such variance. In no case shall an extension be more than 20% of the allotment indicated above, or 1 minute, whichever is greater.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner Sobieski, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. I was wondering, when are we going to, when can we go over the zoning officer's report from 3 November?
We're going to have that on the agenda for our next meeting. It's done every other agenda, every other 2 weeks, I believe. Is that correct, Renata?
Yes, that is what I have been told, that your first meeting of the month is when this report is given. And to add to that, the zoning officer is on vacation this week.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Just had a question. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Renata, and thank you, Commissioner Sobieski.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just for the record, Commissioner Gill has arrived.
Okay. Thank you very much, James. Commissioner Gill, we're going to put you in now as a replacement for Commissioner Haggett. No. Commissioner Claffey. Commissioner Claffey. So Commissioner Gill will be sitting in right now for Commissioner Claffey. Thank you, James. Okay, if Commissioner Lenars, if you could read petition 35-20, please.
Petition 35-20 zoning text amendment, section 3.11, special permits allowed in B business zone to allow apartments, Weislaw, Kaczynski, 26 Amadon Avenue, Newington, Connecticut, owner applicant contact.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is the applicant on?
Yes.
Hello. If you could just brief us a little bit on what you would like to do, and I'd appreciate it.
So yes, Mr. Chairman and all board members. So the property on 566 Newington Avenue was sitting empty around 5 years, according to the neighbors that stopped by after we bought the property, and they see us cleaning around. Main reason was that the property was empty, and the reason was that the owner was hard for him to find the tenants. It took last owner over 1 year to sell the property because there was not one bank that was willing to lend the money, as this property is strictly like a business zone and rented out only to the businesses. And we know, because we went to every lender and we try to get financing, they always say it will be hard to rent it out, and if this will be at least like a mixed use, they will be willing to lend the money. So it took my wife and I around 6 months to come up with the money to be able to buy it. We want this property because we see opportunity there for our son. He is still in college, but already have a business with ideas for expanding and needs space. He will graduate next year in 2021. As he will have his business there, it will be great if he will also be able to live there possibly on the second floor instead of driving to work every day. And in order to do this, property will need to allow apartments on the second floor. We also own some other 2-bedroom apartments in Newington, and often while looking for tenants, we have people looking for smaller, more affordable units. A lot of people looking around for 1-bedroom apartments. If the property at 566 Newington Avenue will allow apartments on the second floor, we can modify the second floor to have up to 2-bedroom apartments with a separate entrance, not connected to the first floor offices. There are other buildings on New Britain Avenue in Newington in this neighborhood that are also like 1-story buildings with the businesses on the first floor, which could use this amendment to expand to have possibly residential units up on the second or third even floor. And some of the buildings, when I look at the map, they have quite a big parking lot, which will have enough space for the tenants, if they will have apartments up there to be able to park their cars. So there is the street, just at least around our building, they are mostly residential units. They're nice houses around, and like I said, mostly residential units, which I don't think that should be considered as an issue to have more residential apartments up on our building. So if the board could review the proposal and allow to have apartments on the second floor in the business zone, we will greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. That was very informative, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask the Renata, the town planner, now to give us a report on this possibly. And this would be for not necessarily just this B zone, but all B zones in town. So I'm going to let her give us a little report on that, and then we'll go from there.
Sure, thank you. So as you can see in my memo, I'm in fully support of this proposal. First of all, if adopted as proposed, it will apply to larger area than just applicant's property. It will apply to B district, which extends, if you click on the link that I provided in the memo, it essentially shows the town zoning map. There is an area on that intersection between Maple and Willard. There is another little pocket of this B zone that is located where Yanni's Pizza is, and that there is a little deli, like Eastern European or Greek deli up there. And then there is one more parcel just north of that. So this area here is where the applicant's property is, but there are other smaller areas in the town. Looking at all of these B-zoned districts, it is, first of all, apparent that they're in area that feels somewhat residential anyways. So the residential use alone will not be out of character for what is proposed. Furthermore, as indicated in that memo, I think especially with this economic climate right now, it is really important to allow options. I think when you have districts which allow for variety of uses, you provide for better resiliency to economic changes in these areas. In particular, I'm thinking if, for example, in this district, if residential is allowed and there is something happening so people cannot rent out commercial properties at the time being or as fast as they wish, they will be able to generate some income from residential tenants to support the way buildings look, to support the maintenance of the buildings, to not have to perhaps abandon commercial properties. So it's, in my opinion, a good idea to do that, just generally speaking, but also in this particular district, it kind of fits the character. I also included, because you are required to consider the plan of conservation and development each time you change the regulations or the map. I included some sections that I found were in support of this in our current plan of conservation and development. And I had sent a referral of this application to CROG. We received a letter from CROG with essentially in favor of this. I don't know if you practice that letter, that comment from CROG to be read into record or not. Let me know if you wish me to do that.
No, it won't be necessary, Renata, to read it in. I have a question, Renata. So this would be similar to the town center zone, correct? Where the town center is allowed to have businesses with residential above. And yet the B zones here, as the regulations are stated, do not. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And
by the way, just for further clarification, if this is allowed, it will be allowed under special permit, which then will require public hearing. And obviously the full review of, site criteria, parking, landscaping, things of that nature. If this is allowed as proposed, it may allow for some of the one-story commercial buildings to actually build second and third story, which also will, allow some other opportunities for economic development in this area.
thank you very much, Renata. Okay, I'm going to go to public participation on this, since this is a public hearing. Is there anybody from the public that's in favor of this? Is there anybody opposed? Okay. James, nobody from the public is.
No, nobody's raised their hands on either opposition or in favor.
Okay, thank you very much, James.
You're welcome.
I'll go to the commissioners. Do you have any questions of the applicant or the town planner? Commissioner Lenars.
No questions or concerns, just weighing in on a couple things. First and foremost, welcome to the planner. Secondly, concerning this petition, I think it hits home with what the planner had said in terms of it being options for people, especially in today's day and climate. Also, having it be seamless compared to what we already have in our town center zone, applying it to other areas that she also said were inclusive of such residential parcels already, seems like a very natural enhancement to our zone regulations within the town in order to provide options for people today. So it sounds pretty seamless and it sounds pretty harmless. And also, I'm sorry, another great point was having the safety net by having this be by special exception also gives the town planning and zoning another look at something that comes in, having it have to be given special exception by the town in order to be put in also gives us another chance to look at it in terms of parking, in terms of regulations and everything like that. So thank you.
Great points, Commissioner Lenars. That second look at it is real important, just to catch any problems because it is a business and residential zone. Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chairman, first of all, welcome Ms. Patati to our commission. I'm sure we're going to have a very good relationship. As far as the petition is concerned, unfortunately, I've been in and out of the hospital. I haven't looked at this too much. The one thing that stands out in my mind is, if I'm not mistaken, the property in question in this petition, is a liquor store, and I'm not too sure how it would affect the parking in front of these places. So I would like a little more time to think about if we can keep it open. Thank you.
Commissioner Sobieski.
Yes, first of all, welcome to the planet, to the town of Newington, Renata. I also have concerns about the parking. I know this is just a general overlay at the present time, but I am concerned with parking depending upon what type of business will go on the bottom. You know, if you have apartments, say, if there's 2 apartments up there and I saw 1.5 cars, so that's basically three vehicles would be assigned for just upstairs alone. Would there be enough room for whatever type of business is going to be put in on the bottom? So parking would be of a concern to me, because considering the Britain Avenue, there really isn't any parking on it. And if we start parking on that site, I'd be a little concerned. But other than that, I think we should leave it open and take a good look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sobieski. Any other commissioners have anything?
I believe Mr. Gill does.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Gill, it looks, has a question.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Gill.
This property is to the west of the street, correct?
I'll have the.
This isn't the package store.
I think you're correct, Commissioner Gill, and I'll have if the applicant could get back on, I believe it's the property across.
Yes, actually.
But we need to keep open minds as commissioners that this applies to development in the entire B zone. Somebody that has a small commercial building somewhere, and if they wanted to add a second floor, this could allow development for other people. So this shouldn't be isolated just to one property, but the applicant is saying that it's the property across the street or to the package store, correct?
Mr. Kaczynski, you're muted.
So it's on the west side of the package store. It's like one building, not like a building in between. It's on the same side of New Britain Avenue,
yep.
But it's a little bit towards New Britain. It's the last property in the business.
It's a large white house right there, I think. And
yes, it's like a 0.6 acre lot. There. Yes, that's the house.
That's the house there?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow,
so
I didn't.
So just, you know, I see a lot of concerns about the parking spots. So I do have already ideas for the parking spots around this building.
Well,
yeah.
Well, the concerns for the parking that a couple of commissioners mentioned, that would come back if this is approved, if all the commissioners think that this is a good idea, then the applicant would come back and you would show us where your parking would be, and we would look at that and a few other regulations. So I'm not worried about the parking. Parking problems can always be corrected. But
thank you.
That's the house. Thank you very much. Okay, is there anybody else from the public that wanted to either speak in favor or speak against this?
No raised hands so far.
Okay. Okay, I will entertain a motion from one of the commissioners to close this public hearing and move it to old business for discussion.
Commissioner Havens moved that petition 35-20 zoning text amendment move to old business at this point.
Well, we have to, no, we want to close the public hearing.
I'd make a motion to close the public hearing on application 35-20.
You're correct, and move it to old business for discussion. So a motion made by Commissioner Havens. Do I have a second from a commissioner?
I'll do it. Second.
And thank you, Commissioner Gill. Seconded. Any discussion? Questions? Commissioner Fox.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The house that we just saw on James's screen. Is that the house? Is that the one in question now that he's originally? I thought it was going to be. I thought he was looking to add on to the package store on the corner of Berkeley. Is that it?
Yeah, that's the building. He said yes.
Uh-huh.
And he's not even adding on. He supposedly there's room upstairs, but he's not allowed to put apartments up there. Is the applicant there?
That is correct, Mr. Chair. Currently, we don't allow residential use, so this is clearly a residential house that lends itself perhaps best to that kind of use. He will still have to, if this amendment is adopted as proposed, he will have to have some kind of commercial occupancy on the bottom floor and will be allowed to use the upper story of the building for residential use. But right now, residential use is not permitted here.
Correct. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Fox, does that answer your questions?
Yeah, but I don't know. I think I'm missing something. Is there? So this is residential building, which seems to have a couple of entrances. You have a first floor and a second floor. I don't know what's on the second floor.
Well, it's because it's in a B zone.
Yeah, but it's in a B zone.
Yes.
The house itself, but there's no business in it now.
There used to be, I believe, and there is no business in it right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So
are we? Should we expect?
Motion. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Commissioner Fox.
A site plan with the proposed parking.
That'll be Commissioner Fox. After this is after this is adopted, then for this particular applicant, if he wanted to achieve something in this house, he'd have to come back with a site plan to the commission, show us that he has the parking for the apartments, and he could put the apartments up there. I don't even think he has to have a business down below if he doesn't have a business at the present time. You know, when a business comes along, then he'll rent the lower level for a business so that would be at a later date. Right now, what we're doing is looking at this. If this is a good thing for the entire business zone, which is exactly what's allowed in a town center zone. And if we adopt it, it would be by special exception so that they would have to come back in front of us. So at the present time, we have a motion on the floor to close the public hearing and move this to old business for discussion. Is there any other questions? If not, I'll ask Noreen to do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Commissioner Braverman,
Yes.
Commissioner Sobieski,
Yes.
Commissioner Linares,
Yes.
Commissioner Havens,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Abstain.
and Chairman Payne.
Yes. Okay, so very good. That passes. We'll move that to old business. Next thing on our agenda is approval of minutes for October 28th, 2020. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Fox.
Second, Sobieski.
Motion made by Commissioner Fox and seconded by Commissioner Sobieski. Is there any corrections to the minutes at all? All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, our minutes are approved. The next thing on our business is new business. We have petition 3820. extension of map filing deadline for residential subdivision at 68 Deming Street, Peckham Farm. Calvin Roger Peckham and Donna M. Peckham, owners. Calvin Roger Peckham, applicant. Bon Giovanni Group Incorporated, 170 Payne Road, Newington, Connecticut. Contact. I'll turn this over to our town planner, Renata, to give us a review of this.
So under Connecticut general statutes, the every approved subdivision, once it has been approved by the commission and that approval was published in the paper, there is a 90-day period in which the applicant has to file a Mylar with the town clerk in order for subdivision to be actually valid. Again, under general statutes, there are provisions to allow for extension of time to file these Mylars, and there is a maximum of 2 extensions that can be granted by the commission. In this particular instance, this subdivision, I understand, has been approved in August of this year. The applicant has requested a 90-day extension to file Mylars with the town clerk, and this is all that's to it. There are no proposed changes. There are no proposed amendments to anything at this point. They just had asked for more time to file the maps on land records.
Thank you, Renata. Yeah, pretty standard. Is there any questions from any of the commissioners concerning this? Hearing any, I'd suggest a motion to approve a 90-day extension for petition 38-20.
So moved.
Second, Sobieski.
Motion moved by Fox and seconded by Sobieski. Is there any questions or concerns? Noreen, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Commissioner Braverman,
Yes.
Commissioner Sobieski,
Yes.
Commissioner Linares,
Yes.
Commissioner Havens,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Chairman Payne.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, very good. That passes unanimously. Next thing on our agenda is B, pre-application discussion. And I'll turn this over to the town planner to explain to the commission what this is about.
So first of all, I jumped the gun on this, which is why we changed the agenda, because I misunderstood Chairman in thinking that this is a process that you use on the commission level. Just to give you a little bit of background, after in 2008, 2009, when the economy crashed, there was a series of amendments to the Connecticut General Statutes. One of those amendments included a provision that enabled land use boards and commissions to hold these pre-application conferences, pre-application meetings with prospective applicants. The idea behind this was that when the applicants had a concept plan or an idea, that they would, if the town would allow them, be able to come to the commission and talk about either the concept plan or their idea for the map amendment or regulation amendment, and gauge the amount of risk they were facing by applying for that. Once somebody applies for pretty much anything land use, the cost of plan design and the process and hiring attorneys and engineers and architects and all that is sometimes very high. And you know, there is always a risk that the application or petition can be denied. So this process was intended to sort of help applicants evaluate their risk ahead of time before they go ahead and spend a lot of money on it. I started using this as soon as I think statutes were changed. We adopted this process in town of Manchester, and I used it subsequently in Meriden as well. I have heard from applicants nothing but good things about this, because the idea for the commission is when they come to you with an idea or with a question or with a plan, especially if you see something that you really don't like, or if there are red flags, to raise them then, like early on in the process before they go through expensive plan design and all that other stuff. So when it comes to economic development, I have found, and I have been told this over my work experience, that developers and applicants really appreciated this. General statutes also include language, and that's why I created this form that essentially says whatever is said at the pre-application is not binding. So as you would with any application, you don't make your mind up until public hearing is heard, all the information is in, then you can make your decisions. But you're allowed to express, like early on, your general sentiment about the proposal. So that's what I would like for you to think about as something, as a tool that perhaps we could use here. I don't expect a decision tonight. I understand that this is kind of new and it wasn't really done like this in Newington before, but I wanted to introduce this concept because I'm a huge fan and I think it helps. And if anybody has questions, please ask.
Any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Sobieski.
Yes, excuse me, for Chairman Payne. Are there slabs up there now? Or pads, rather, I'm sorry, in that plaza?
Commissioner Sobieski, we're not talking about any individual project right now. We're only talking about the process of what she wants to do about this pre-application review. In general, do you think that's a good idea or bad idea? And that's what the topic is right now.
Okay, I'm just questioning that. So I just was wondering, I guess, in general, if we don't have, we're going to go with this here. Let's assume we go with it. Does this mean that we have to have pre-approved slabs, or we have to have pre-approved things that can be put into these shopping centers or wherever we want to put them?
I don't know what you mean by pre-approved slabs. I mean, you can't, these pad sites can't be added to projects unless certain things are reviewed, so that you don't create an overcrowding of a plaza. Okay, you want the right mix. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's what I was asking, because I didn't know, I don't remember if there was any additional pads up there. I was using Joanne as a example. Thank you. Yeah,
I'm trying not to use that place as an example, but in general, I think the process would be that it used to be that the planner would work with the applicant, and they would look at the site and see what the applicant wants to do, and then the planner would try to see how it would work, if it could comply with our regulations. If it was a little sticky, they would say, they'd ask the chairman and say, what do you think the commission would allow this or not? I mean, that's how we have been operating. I did ask the town planner to get an opinion from the town attorney on this, and maybe she could tell us what he had given her. Before we do that, is there any other questions from any other commissioners?
Yeah, Tom Gill, is there a time frame on this?
No, there's no time frame.
I mean, as far as pre-application itself, how long do we have, or you, to act on it?
It's not an action. So what would happen with these is you can have like 4 different pre-application meetings on something that never becomes an application. You can have a difficult site and people may come to you and ask questions about different uses, and you may pretty much indicate to them that none of those proposed uses sounds good for various reasons, be it parking, be it like lack of some kind of utility provision or something. There can be like all kinds of reasons. This is not an application. There is no time frame. It is whether or not the commission will entertain this as something that an applicant could benefit from having the discussion. We work as a planner, I always work with applicants, and I see that also chair works when needed with applicants. The gist of an issue, however, is that when somebody is doing a project that can cost, $3 million or $10 million investment, they want to early on gauge what their real risks are, and they won't necessarily be able to tell that from an opinion of a town planner who doesn't make a decision, or opinion of 1 or 2 members of the planning commission. They want to get the room feel on what kind of feedback they're getting. Less information they give you, less feedback you will be able to give to them. If they come in and their concept includes like parking and some kind of pad proposals and whatever, then you can have a discussion and talk about, what, this lot is overcrowded already in our opinion. You're welcome to try and meet our regulations, but we just know that it's overcrowded anywhere. That's a message, people understand what that means. And to another point that Mr. Chair mentioned, I did have a conversation with the town attorney. He is not on, and this was like initial conversation when I first emailed this form to him. And he said that he had concerns with being predisposed. It eventually will come down to advice of a town attorney, but I don't think at this point he has formed an opinion yet. He did tell me that it seemed to him that this could predispose commissioners in a legal matter, and that he would prefer not to do it this way.
Thank you. Commissioner Lenars, do you have a question or comment?
Yes. The planner actually just took some of my comments respectfully through the chair. Just to the planner, my question, since we've never done things this way, I'm kind of one of the commissioners on the board here that's always pro-business, always pro bringing business into town, as many as we can, as long as they fit. But my question was, would this be opening us up to something that would be like prejudging? So like maybe, and I'm not opposed to it or against it, but always looking for new opportunities in town and ways of doing business on this board. What would be like some pros and cons on maybe some things that could come our way? Most of the things that we get are pretty cookie cutter, cut and dry, and there is no sticky issues, which we're fortunate to have. But sometimes we do get those applicants that are maybe pushing the envelope in terms of parking, or maybe pushing the envelope in terms of a particular use in a particular zone, and to be predisposed to some information and some opinions be granted back their way. Would that be an issue? Just looking for your professional opinion.
So again, I mean, this process is supposed to be a 30,000 feet overview of something. This element of what you could do if you choose to do that is intended to provide feedback on general aspects of, how's that use fitting in that area. The design of a site plan must meet our zoning regulations. If there is not sufficient parking and somebody went and got an okay, not an okay, but somebody went to the commission and commissioners did not come very opposed to perhaps a use somewhere, but then they pay the money and get everything designed, and then it turns out they don't have sufficient parking. Well, that's tough. They should have analyzed certain site elements like early on. This is really meant for like the application we had before, residential in a business zone. Is that something that the commission would entertain? Is that something that the commission just say in this town, no, we don't do that. We will keep commercial separate for the buffering reasons, for noise and, something. So that's what this process is intended to do. There is always a possibility of somebody to sue somebody. That's why we have town attorneys, and that's why we have to listen to them. However, like on this form, there is a language that says such pre-application review and any results of information obtained from it may not be appealed under any provision of the general statutes. So, again, I have to defer to our town attorney no matter what, but in my opinion, there is sufficient protections under the statutes that allow us to do this. And again, I have used this process for 10 plus years and have never had an issue with this.
Okay, is there additional questions, Commissioner Linares? Does that answer everything, or do you have anything else?
No, it's more than informational, just being so not used to doing things this way. Just a couple like general vague questions just for our protection. I could definitely see if I was an applicant coming into a town, which I did not know anything about, how it could be beneficial financially for me to not go forward with certain ideas, plans, architects, drawings, or even wasting my time. I could see it on their end. And I also, now that I sit on this board, I could see on our end, is this something we should do or not do, because it opens up some prejudging of things. But I mean, I can see it from all angles, how it could work and be helpful on one end, but be protective and exposing on another.
Yeah, it's a dilemma, Commissioner Linares. We're going to keep this open and on the agenda, and I'm going to be meeting with the town planner and the town attorney, I believe, and other staff, and we're going to discuss it more. And I'll bring those discussions back to the committee. Commissioner Fox, do you have something?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, Renata, is it possible that maybe you can send us copies of the applicable statutes so we can get a little more familiar with them for the next time you see this?
I sure can. It's right on this form, so it's in your packet for tonight. It's section 7-159B of Connecticut General Statutes. This form I created by literally cutting and copying and pasting a section directly from General Statutes.
Yeah.
I can email everybody a copy.
Well, everybody has a copy of it. They probably.
Yeah, okay.
And do you have?
All right, thank you. And Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I'd appreciate it if you asked our town attorney to appear at our next meeting. I think I personally, anyway, would like to hear what he says, and hope we would have a written opinion also. But
well,
I would like to be in on just about everything he says. Thank you.
Yeah, if we have him at our next meeting, then we won't need a written opinion. If that's okay, Commissioner Fox, I will ask the town attorney to be with us on our next meeting. Is there any other commissioners' comments or questions?
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll leave this on the agenda, Renata, and for a discussion in 2 weeks. And at that time, we'll, if you could contact the town attorney and ask him to come on too at the same time. And the next thing is old business. Petition 34-20, referral of proposed Conservation Commission Inland Wetlands Agency Regulation Amendment, Newington Conservation Commission applicant. Renata, can you give us a report on this?
Somewhat. So I have not actually met the Conservation Commission yet, but my understanding is that this proposal, which essentially defines vernal pools and then proposes certain like regulatory areas next to it, similar to what's done with wetlands, except that original proposal was 200 feet, has been tabled at the last Conservation Commission meeting. They received commentary, and based on that, they are revising their draft proposal. The Planning Commission, there is really nothing new for you to discuss at this point until everybody sees this new draft.
Okay, thank you very much, Renata. I'm glad that they decided to go back and relook at this, and hopefully they'll just have it as a definition in their regulation without impacting additional land. Is there any questions from the commissioners concerning petition 34-20? Okay. The next thing in old business is petition 35-20, zoning text amendment, section 3.11, special permits allowed in a business zone to allow apartments. Wazowski Koslowski, 26 Adamon Avenue, Newington, Connecticut, owner applicant contact. I apologize for the way I pronounced your name. So this is the on old business, and I think this is worth discussing. I think this is something that could be a real improvement and a possible revenue generator for businesses in that B zone throughout the town of Newington. And if this is approved, they would have to come back to us under a special exception for the apartments. Correct, Renata?
That is correct, Mr. Chair. This would require a special permit.
Okay. I'm going to open it up for a conversation from the commissioners. I think this is well worth exploring. We haven't heard any public against it. I don't think it's going to be detrimental to the residential area in any way. Commissioner Lenars.
Just to echo what I said before, I think this is a pretty simple advancement of this commission and what we allow and what we're consistent with in our town. We have this in our town center. By allowing it in our business zones, it would just be an expansion of allowing our businesses in town to further, collect rent or to make their properties more attractive. As the planner stated before, there are some consistencies with being in residential zones. So it's not like you're putting these residential areas in the middle of anywhere that just kind of happen to pop up. They blend in nicely. And I think it's a good thing for the town. And I totally understand and respect what Commissioner Sobieski and Fox said earlier. They're like our so caring and for the town in terms of the parking and whatnot. But the greatest thing that we have to cancel any concerns is these applications have to come back to this board. And we all as a committee have to look at each individual application as a safety net for the other residents, for the parking, for whatever it may be. So their concerns are absolutely valid and concerning and awesome. And I think it's a great thing that we do get that opportunity. So I feel safe allowing these and going ahead and making this change for the town.
Thank you, Commissioner Linares. I appreciate your comments. Commissioner Sobieski?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was my only concern, was the parking, just trying to shoehorn in things, but I would like to explore it. I think it is, I'm going to echo what Commissioner Linares said. I think we should look at it. I don't want to close off any avenues, but I just, like I said, my only concern was the parking. And it appears that there's a side yard here that's enough area for parking, so I'd like to explore the issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Any other commissioners? Commissioner Fox?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. On that same issue of the parking, if this is approved tonight, are we stuck then with the requirement that we have, 1.5 parking spaces per apartment? Would that be able to be changed? I know it says at least, but would we have the purview of making sure that the parking is adequate and that the parking areas don't interfere with the right of way?
Great question, Commissioner Fox. So this is basically a general approval of this in the zone. And if the applicant chooses to improve his property, he would have to come back to us with a site plan, show us where he has the parking. And if we felt as a commission that there was need for more or less, then it would be our decision at the time that the applicant comes in front of us. So we have full power to figure out the parking at a later date. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any other questions?
For now.
Commissioner Havens?
Thank you.
I'd just like to say I'm in favor of this text amendment because we're not approving anything specific. We're letting people have the option, and it's coming back to us anyways to get the special permit. So I think this is a good idea, and I think it should be approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Havens. Exactly. It's a great option for people, and they would have to come back in front of us. So I think it's something that's going to be very beneficial to the town in that B zone districts. Any other commissioners have any comments? And I'll entertain, if everybody's comfortable with this, we're basically approving this as an option for people in the B zones to have the apartments on the second floor. I would entertain a motion from somebody.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Fox for approval of petition 35-20. Is that correct?
Yes.
And seconded by Commissioner Sobieski. Is there any additional comments or questions? I'll ask Noreen to do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Commissioner Braverman, Commissioner Sobieski,
Yes.
Commissioner Linares,
Yes.
Commissioner Havens.
Braverman, yes.
Okay, Commissioner Fox
Yeah.
and Chairman Payne.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous.
Unanimous. Fantastic. I think that's a great thing that we've done for the B zones. And hopefully the applicant will come back and present us a plan, and so that he could get a couple of apartments in his building, and hopefully maybe other business owners will do the same, which will add to the grand list. So right now we're the next thing, Renata, we have petitions for public hearing scheduling. We have one petition 39-20 If you could give us a report on that and let us know if that's ready to be on the schedule for next meeting.
You're muted, Renata.
Sure, thank you. And by the way, this muted thing, I'm sure that will be like happening frequently. This proposal is submitted to us by the petition. It is to change the bulk regulations in the TOD zone. In particular, I think the issue that triggered this amendment had to do with minimum area of a lot. This has to be referred to CROG and therefore cannot be on the commission's agenda for the hearing before first meeting in January. And the applicant knows that. We have had conversations about it and they're aware of scheduling.
Okay, so it's going to be scheduled for the first meeting in January. Correct? Okay. Very good. We'll go next thing on the agenda. If there's no questions from the commissioners, is the town planner's report. I'm not sure how much of a report she has, but go ahead, Renata. Well, yeah, unmute.
So I don't have a report per se,
Okay.
because I am not sure what do you expect from a planner in a way of report. I did want to perhaps use this time to talk about how should we set some priorities for me that commission has. I also would like to be able to meet each one of the commission members individually and not in person. We're not doing in-person anything these days. But for me to make sure that I have faces and names together, this virtual thing is not all that good. So it would be helpful to do a little bit on one-on-one with each one of you if you are open to doing that. But on a commission level, I watched some of the previous meetings. I have heard that there were several items that were kind of left until I come. And I don't know if under town planner's report, we should talk about priorities, or perhaps that is something that each one of you could have prepared for our next meeting, and then we can sort of prepare like a priority list for me. Other thing, and just before I move on, the other thing, Mr. Chair, you mentioned at some point that you would like to sit down and have that sort of meeting as well with the zoning enforcement officer to establish some of the enforcement priorities as well. So whether we do it in the official meeting, whether we schedule something separately is where I was going with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't see any reason why we can't start that process at our next meeting, because we're going to have the zoning enforcement officer with us. He'll have a report up to date, and then the commissioners between now and then, they can think about some of the questions and concerns and how we can give direction to the zoning enforcement officer. Even though we've been real lenient on signage because of COVID with the restaurants, and I think it's carried on to a lot of other businesses, but that's something that the commission can talk about in 2 weeks.
Also with enforcement, we can't be very lenient. We either have to not have a rule, or if we have a rule, then we gotta do it. Otherwise, people just feel that there is no follow through, and therefore what's the reason to even comply? And another thing, what I would also like to talk to the full commission at some point is a direction in which planning should go in Newington. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean, what is stated in the plan of conservation and development. In my opinion, right now, the planning profession has changed fundamentally, or needs to change fundamentally, how we do what we do. It used to be very much of, a bunch of people sits in the room and they kind of dream up a plan and they assign zoning districts and assign regulations to those districts, and then development kind of follows. I think the way world has proven to work is that you should have flexibility and easiness of change to fit changing economic and changing just general environmental and social and all these environments. So, at some point we probably should have a conversation as to what do we want to be, broadly speaking, so that I can start looking at our zoning regulations, which frankly require a pretty serious review and perhaps comprehensive amendments.
Very good, great points. And I think we can have those conversations. If I'm not mistaken, and maybe the other commissioners can refresh my memory, but we have made several changes in the zoning regulations, quite a few of them over the last year, and yet we really don't have updated regulations, or is that just me? Do the other commissioners have updated regulations? I don't. Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I'm not mistaken, the last set of regulations I received was from Craig, and I really don't, I'm trying to think, I really don't think that is quote unquote 100% updated.
Okay. Commissioner Sobieski, do you recall?
I seem to recall that we went through each regulation about a year and a half ago, and we went through extensively and taken out where we had the authority to grant the exemptions and stuff like that. And I remember we went line by line through a lot of them. I can't remember if it was 100%, but I think we covered about 90 of them, 90% of them. I don't know if you remember that or not, Tom, but it was just a question of, remember when Judge Modis ruled against
yes,
Southbury? I think, no, not Southbury. Southbury. So we had to take a lot of that where we gave ourselves the ability to waiver our own regulations out.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Sobieski. I think it would be helpful, Renata, if all the commissioners could get an updated copy of the regulations the way they stand now. And then I think it would be an advantage for us to get your opinion of the regulations as you read them, to see if there's something else in there that you feel would be an advantage for us to change. I think we're all open to that as commissioners.
Sure, we will reprint the sets for everybody. My understanding is that as they're updated, we're updating them online. It's like this whole movement away from paper lately, but if you haven't received up-to-date copy, you should have one. I mean,
we definitely need
our
an
bread and butter. We gotta have like up-to-date stuff.
Yep, great. I appreciate that. We also one of the things that was that we hadn't talked about, well, we almost finished everything, was performance bonds. Commissioner members, I think you remember that we were trying to straighten the performance bonds out, and excuse me, we almost completed it with the previous town planner. So hopefully, Renata, when you see some paperwork that talks about performance bonds, if you could set that aside, so maybe we can get you up to date on that paperwork, so we can finish it. You're muted.
So in my office, there are 3 big binders that are arranged by, I don't even know in which kind of orders. I think there are bonds that are issued and they're kind of in a date order. everything is written, and I have no idea how to even start reviewing those. You had, Mr. Chair, indicated to me that perhaps Craig has sent around a spreadsheet with.
Yeah, there should be a spreadsheet, and I have a copy of one, and I'll bring it in and show you.
That would be helpful if I could get my hands on, because I haven't seen this.
Yeah, James has it up on the screen right now.
What we have online in his files, but I have not seen this.
Okay.
I just have these like 3 big books.
Well, well, I'll show you what it looks like, and James has a copy of it right on the screen right there. And maybe when you see it in your office, then there should be some notes on it and stuff. And I think I remember a lot of it. And we'll get you up to date on this so that we don't fall wayside on it, because it was quite a mess. And we had open bonds back to 1978. And so we've got that hopefully all corrected. And then, commissioners, there was one other thing that everybody talked about just recently, and that was development over near the other TOD area.
West Hill?
West Hill. Thank you, James. Can I seat you, James? Yeah, over at West Hill. So we approved one side, and then the other side we didn't. And we'd like to, a lot of commissioners wanted to get that up on the agenda as soon as possible and discuss the next TOD area in that area, Renata. So I'm not sure how long that would take us to get that on the agenda.
I mean, for a general discussion, we can start with that early on. That area out there needs some sort of different zoning for sure. TOD zoning could work. In that particular area, there are those historic homes that, you know, I think, I'm not sure what our TOD zone regulations do with that, but those homes should be somehow converted into something that is more usable, but yet preserves the architectural value and look and feel of that neighborhood. Yeah, but that neighborhood definitely, we can start conversation on it. One of the things that I'm also looking into, and we had a conversation with IT department and town manager's office, is how can we push some of these notifications out to people and groups. That's one of the meetings that I watched, the regulation amendment for Gibson. And, you know, there was a lot of commentary from the public with regards to not feeling like they were involved in the process, not being involved early on and whatnot. So I'm trying to figure out how can we do something that that neighborhood is also notified and perhaps part of this conversation. So, you know, I'll see if I can kind of put something together for next meeting. If not, then it will be a January one.
Okay. Maybe we could have it on the agenda just for an informal discussion so that we can get our hands around it and get opinions from all the commissioners and then add whatever information you come up with, and then we'll get a plan for it.
Sure.
Is there any commissioners that have any comments or concerns? Are you in agreement? Is everybody in agreement with putting these things on the agenda?
Absolutely.
Sure, right now.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Is there any communications that came in, Renata?
No,
No?
I do
Okay.
not have any communication.
Okay, thank you. And we are at public participation. If there's anybody from the public that would like to speak about anything. Yes, Rose.
Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I just am wondering if you could tell me if it would be the zoning enforcement officer that I would speak to regarding political signs that are still up in town. Would that be the person to discuss any concerns with?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. And again, have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You also. Good night. Any other questions from the public? Is there any remarks from the commissioners? And we have Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And through the chairman, I just wanted to once again congratulate Ms. Vitale on getting through the first commission meeting with our commission. A little different than we usually had. I think that there's going to be us getting used to you and you getting used to us. And then next week we see our new zoning, not so new zoning enforcement officer. And I think, Mr. Chair and others, I think you realized I had some reservations about 35-20, but hopefully it'll work out all right. But we'll see as the petitions come in. It's just at this time, maybe it's because I've been out of touch for a little bit. I felt a little rushed, and I've been getting that feeling recently. So maybe I'm wrong, but I would like to be able to take a little more time to think about things. I'm getting too old to go rushing into it. Thank you, and have a happy Thanksgiving all of you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fox. Commissioner Sobieski?
You're muted, Commissioner Sobieski.
I'll take care of that now. Yes, thank you. I attended a CROG meeting last Thursday, and one of the issues that came up was a group of people, or actually young kids, came in from Seattle and it formed a group called desegregateconnecticut.org. And what they're looking at doing is trying to introduce legislation at the state level to insert some of the zoning regulations that the towns have. There was an article in this morning's Current, I think, or yesterday morning's Current, where they cited Avon with 1 acre building lots too big for houses. One of the big discussions I had with them, is the fact that, we can increase our apartment size or rental properties by taking away parking. So I asked the question, by taking away parking, how would you expect these people to get to and from work? Their answer was take a bus. So I said, well, most of our affordable housing is not on bus lines. Well, they're going to look at that. The other issue they wanted to do was, or suggested, if you have a detached garage, you could convert that to an apartment, which would become a very expensive operation. And the other one that they were pushing was in-law apartments, or actually converting basements into apartments. I did inform Chairman Payne about it, and he was going to look at it. But I suggest that each commissioner go and take a look at that. Desegregateconnecticut.org. If you look at Newington, the mean house price in Newington is like $289,000, and the average income in the town of Newington is $91,000. I kind of think those numbers are off, in my opinion, but that's something that's probably going to be they're going to try to introduce it this shot around. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sobieski. Any other remarks from commissioners? Any other remarks? I want to thank everybody. I think this was a real good TPZ meeting. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, Sobieski.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Good night, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Good night,
Thank
and thank you.
you. Thank you so much.